Hello and welcome to TED Talk in the Home. Welcome to my home. I hope this is a good place for us to have a good conversation and hopefully for you to take something home that you can apply to your own life. I'm going to start this off with a story, and this is a personal story. I am a healthcare provider. I'm an athletic trainer, so in the field of sports medicine, and I'm also a patient. And my story kind of begins roughly 10 years ago. I started noticing some digestive issues. How many of you can relate? If anyone's had problems pooping, then you can relate. So these digestive issues, began, and I, as a new person in healthcare, I didn't really understand the system as many of our general population don't. And so I started with my primary care physician, which is usually a great place to start. And, a bunch of tests later, I was referred on to a specialist, a gastroenterologist. Again, a bunch of tests later, they couldn't really figure out what was going on. So I was referred on to a second gastroenterologist. Finally, after a ton of tests and a lot of money later, I was diagnosed with celiac disease. So what does this mean? It means you can't have gluten. It means you can't eat wheat, or so they say. So, you cut out gluten from your diet and then you're good to go. Not quite. There's a lot of other steps that kind of go into gut healing, and it was my first experience of really being a patient in that and seeing kind of the disconnect between all of the pieces that made me who I was and how that was playing into the dynamic of being a patient. This was really eye-opening, and over the last 10 years, it's been a process of really dissecting my own life and really looking at what things are playing into this chronic illness. And what I want from today is I want you to be able to take some of these concepts, apply them to your own life, whether you're battling a chronic illness or not, whether it's a cold or a flu or a physical ailment or a mental ailment. It really doesn't matter. Any problem, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, it takes some self-reflection to really look at all the components that make that problem the way it is, and then how to fix it, how to make it better. So I'm gonna give you 4 pillars. So in my time of kind of dissecting my own life and figuring out what pieces were playing into this, I'm going to give you 4 pieces that were really crucial epiphanies for me in realizing that I am a being inside this body and I'm on this planet. And these 4 pillars were really helpful for me to kind of wrap that concept up in my head and apply it to my everyday life. So the first pillar is sleep. How many of you don't get enough sleep? Probably most of us. Probably most of us would love to sleep in or have another day where we could get some more sleep. Sleep is your chance to take a step down. We are up here in most of our lives. We're flying high, busy as bees. We rarely take the time to rest. Usually it's a forced rest. We usually get sick. We usually have something happen where we are forced to actually take time for ourselves. Our bodies love to do this ebb and flow, but they love to do it within parameters that are healthy and safe. And sleep is an incredible way for your body to decompress and relax and actually get the recovery it needs. Second pillar then leads me right into stress management. That's the second one. So our bodies love to be stressed in good ways, but they have to be stressed with those parameters, and we need to manage that because we're going to have stressful times, we're going to have lazy times, and we need to have that balance. And stress management is enormous when we're talking about that dynamic of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Stress management is a key in making sure that all those things are working well together. The next pillar is intake. And traditionally, we would think of this as nutrition, which nutrition plays hugely into this. That was a large component of what I had to discover for myself, dealing with a chronic illness that was food related or digestion related. I really had to examine my nutritional intake. But when I say intake, I'm not just talking about food. I'm talking about water, I'm talking about oxygen. I'm talking about vitamins and minerals, the things that make our bodies function. Like I said, we're a spiritual creature stuck in this physical body, and we're walking around this earth, and we need to be able to have sufficient nutrients to support that body. Which leads to the next pillar and the last pillar, and this is movement. Our bodies want to move. We want to move. And we have done such an amazing job developing our brains with technology and all of these incredible things. Our mammal brain has expanded like we've never seen before. This is really impressive. It also means that we often have a sedentary life. We often sit at a computer and we digest things in our brains, and we don't move our bodies as much as we should. Movement of the body is so crucial to releasing the right chemicals and keeping everything functioning the right way. If you are not well in your body, you cannot be well in all those other dynamics. You have to think of the whole person. And this is a really big deficit in our healthcare system, which is why it's so important for you as the patient to look at these things yourself so that you can take all of that knowledge you know about you and bring it to your healthcare provider so they can actually help guide you in the right ways. The problem with our healthcare system isn't with the providers, because guess what? They're people too. Your doctor also needs a doctor. Crazy concept, but it's true. And it takes the ability of the person to look at themselves and figure out what categories need to be improved and do the research on how to make that happen. Be your own advocate in taking back your health. That's the only way that our healthcare system is going to change, and it's the only way that you as a person can be healthy again. Thank you so much for your time.